forgive, and you must be flexible when it comes to marriage.
You must be flexible when it comes to marriage. Now, I think let me turn to one of the other, therapists that we have. She's known to, to do one thing best, and the only thing she knows how to do is, to reshape your mental health and to make sure that your marriage and your relationship is working just fine. Have there been situations where people get through premarital counseling and the marriage still fails?
uh, Premarital counseling and marriage still fails, yes. And but with me, I've had two couples who have been through premarital counseling and the marriage didn't work. I was very happy. Sorry to say, but that was a plane on its way to crash.
Okay.
So I prefer that it rather didn't work, because when you bring issues of compatibility, there was no area, I mean no single area where I could see compatibility between this couple. And like he said, there was nobody ready to take shit. Okay, one person at some point want to take shit, but all the time, the other person was too stiff. This happened for two couples, but then we see have people who have been through premarital counseling and it crashes. Why? Because life is full of emotions. Different situations come up at different times in the future, and if you don't have the necessary support system, if you don't have the necessary things to keep you going, you might fall back. Premarital counseling is not a kind of magic that is just no. It helps you, and if you can keep in touch with your therapist or your counselor throughout the marriage, it's the same like, because you're taking care of your mental health, it has to do a lot with the mind. It's the same like having a continuous physical follow-up. If you have malaria treatment today and you're treated of malaria, does it mean that you cannot contact malaria again? It's not a kind of immunity, yes. You are still vulnerable depending on your environment. Where there is mosquito, I heard Egypt is declared malaria-free, or one northern African country. So if you are to be in such an environment, you might not experience or contact malaria again. But now it's the same thing with premarital counseling. You've had premarital counseling, and now you have gotten into marriage. The environment is different. Other things might come up. Even you yourself, there are some things that will happen to you. Maybe perhaps you need support on how to stand, be it emotional support. If it is not there, you can feel.
If it's not there, it can fail.
Yes, many things come up. This life get as it be.
Okay, now, because we have heard cases where some marriage therapists will hear that a marriage broke, or a marriage failed, and the first thing, or somebody who is quite insightful in the milieu of marriage, the first thing they want to ask is, did they go through premarital counseling? Now, premarital counseling is something which has been made to be a catalyst for a successful marriage. But if you are saying that there are people who actually go through premarital counseling and the marriage still, hits the rock, now where is the place of premarital counseling?
Okay, I think when we say this, it will be with exceptions. Like you will not see cases of people just getting married today and maybe divorced next month. Many things happen. I've seen a case where, okay, they've been through, I don't know whether they went through premarital counseling though, but on the wedding day, something happened with the cake. And the mother-in-law to the lady, that's the husband's mother, wanted to take the entire cake away. And the bride was like, this thing is to be shared. Cake, ordinary cake, that would just stop at Y complex and pick another one. This thing is to be shared. You're supposed to take part. Let my own parents also take part. Or let me have it. It is our cake. And mother-in-law slapped her. Reflex action, she gave it back. That night the husband said, no worry, you cannot slap my mother now. It ends here. So many things come to play, and they were both acting based on the people who were beside them. Like, will you allow your wife to start doing this? Will you allow? So many things happen. For that one, I didn't know whether, I don't know if they went through marital counseling, premarital counseling. But most cases that I've seen, it is somehow later in the future that some other things, issues come. We know this is Africa,
Why
so
am I
we hear
looking like
cases.
this? I'm
You
just
hear
looking
cases of charm, or you will hear cases of maybe the man went out of station to work somewhere. This led to this led to this, and it happens. It's sometime in the future, but at least if it was a good therapy,
The way
should
I'm
last.
looking,
if it was a good, because also I don't know the way you're looking, and maybe premarital counseling here, maybe it also has to do a lot with who did it. Because when I go to the media today, Facebook, everybody is a relationship counselor.
Of course.
Everybody. Motivational speakers are all relationship counselors. So what is the content? What did they handle during premarital counseling? As a mental health counselor, I'll focus more on how to have the right mental state of mind, or how to help mental issues with yourself. Because the moment you're able to if you're mentally well, or if you have emotional intelligence, most of these things you will know how to handle them. Because we will not be building you resilience only to a particular situation, but you will be able to gain this resilience, the ability to bounce back for every other situation, such that it will not crash too much. If something happens, emotional intelligence, you must have learned this during premarital counseling. It will help you stand more.
Okay, now I think straight into it. Are there some very petty reasons and crazy reasons why people could divorce? You've given the case in point. I think there is no need asking. The answer should be yes. Because if somebody can, divorce their partner because of reasons like cake, well, just to say, if it were me, I'll not return the slap. But you, mother-in-law, just watch out for hookup and the rest. Anyways, for reasons like cake and toothpick, and maybe toothpaste. I heard yesterday somebody saying that, why should you press the toothpaste from the middle? Why not press it from the bottom? And there is spark in the house.
Yes, Tolero, why did you cut it and allow it to roll too much? Why didn't you cut and organize? It's a problem.
Just imagine. Now, is it the problem, those reasons, or the people themselves?
It's communication.
Okay.
One of the major issue in counseling or in couples is communication. Because even with the cake, it was just to communicate. Like, seriously, what your mother is doing is not right, I think, and then let him handle it. So I think these are some of the skills that the premarital counselor should make sure that it is well handled.
Now, so are you saying that with communication skills being imbibed in a marriage and everything intact, that marriage is going to go, hit-free?
Yes. Not hit-free. Life is full of emotions. As it come here, things will happen, but the way you communicate. Do you know that there are many things into this communication? The timing, the voice, that's the tone you use in communicating.
The what?
The words, your content, the way you place it. And even the person listening is a form of communication too. Are you listening to respond, or you're listening to understand? So communication is both like this. It's a whole lesson level. But I see that 90% of relationship issues centers around communication. Because even the cake thing, I will still bring it and explain it, and to explain communication, how it could best be communicated. Yes, your point could, because all of us have different opinions, but the way you will communicate it is going to determine the other person's reaction. And if the other person also understands that, hey, when somebody is communicating, let me listen to understand and not just listen to respond or to react, the person will listen differently.
Yes.
You see active listening coming to play. These are some of the things that if they are well handled, premarital counseling will help you, especially during that period. Your post-marriage should be slightly different from that of someone who hasn't gone through this.
But would you say that there are people who have not gone through premarital counseling, and this thing is even a modern day or a contemporary day?
No, it's not a modern day thing. Maybe
premarital counseling.
It's not a modern day thing.
Okay, our parents
they did, yes.
Okay.
Although it was not in a formal setting, but you see somebody. Let me use my cultural content. You see somebody, maybe the researcher must have come across this. Somebody wanting to get married, they will take you, have the woofing room. I put pictures of it the other day on my Facebook where they just tie you wrapper. They will keep you in that kitchen beside the fire. Voila, for 3 weeks. What happens during these 3 weeks?
They bathe you, they feed you.
They give you a lot of counsel. And even before coming, your mothers bring you. They give you a lot of counsel. Then they are telling you, please, when your mother-in-law is talking, bend your head, don't look at them to the face. They are bringing issues of respect.
Okay.
When your husband talks, where the mercy does it, all of those things were, although we are criticizing some of them today, but the intentions for this was to build a strong marriage. there you learn ethics on how to relate with your in-laws. You learn ethics on how to relate with your own family. Likewise, the husband.
So
He's been taught
premarital
ethics.
counseling has been in existence
Yes.
from time immemorial.
Yes.
True,
I have
true,
a
true.
colleague doing research on that, comparing the counseling in those days with what we have today.
Wow. Wow.
Today, in those days, even me seeing a child misbehaving, like the little guy we had here, I can easily shout at you, please leave that place. What are you doing? Stop it. Today, how dare you talk to my child? Who are you? Who the hell are you? That's what we have.
That's all we have.
Except they feel that they should come pay you as a therapist before you can talk to that child. But before it was not like that. Sorry, we're diverting, but I just want to say that it existed, but in different forms. It was the informal way. It was in the informal way, but today it's kind of formal, and it's instead being a little chaotic because everybody is just a therapist, everybody is just a counselor, with or without training, with or without experiences. If you can motivate, say one or two things, read books, we just write it, and so many people fall into it and they don't really get the right thing. That's where we can have issues of, okay, you attended premarital counseling and it still didn't go. Also have different personalities. Like I said, the environment influence people. Many other things, life situations influence people. There are terrible things that people experience and their personality becomes molded. And so you see that, hey, this is not the man I met 10 years ago. The person has been through other things and is turning to some other person.
Okay. While I think you and Mr. Daniel garner all the points to tell us all the reasons why marriages fail, I think we need to actually, tell the people the onions and get into the crux of the matter while marriages fail. We have just given some side lines to, some contributing factors like toothpaste, the toilet roll, people fighting for water, which slipped on the ground, and maybe the partner did not wipe or not being able to clear the plates after lunch, dinner, or whatever. It's going to wow you some very crazy reasons why people actually decide to split or go separate ways. But we have somebody who has actually researched on divorce. Doing your research, one of the things which lured you, which actually seduced you into getting head on into this whole investigation, was it because you grew up in a setup where you saw a lot of marriages failing? Or, for a young man, one would think that you were going to build a niche around what relationship is and not necessarily why marriages fail. Why did you jump the gun and to get into why marriages fail and not how to make a relationship work?
Okay, looking in our contemporary society now, we'll discover that one of the main reasons, or one of the reasons why there is a lot of chaos, there's a lot of confusion in the world, is as a result of marriage. Why do I say marriage? The basic unit of every society is a family, and once the family is being attacked, the society has spoiled. I believe in elementary education, they will tell you education begins at home, it begins from the family. I lived in an environment where I lived happily with my mom and my dad. They are always my inspiration. But when I looked around the community, I discovered that within a particular period of time, everybody is celebrating one marriage celebration. And after you start hearing stories like, this man is no longer with this woman is no longer with this man. So I began to ask myself so many questions. How can we solve this particular issue? What is the way forward? Why is it that African society keeps remaining in the dark age? So that was what actually prompted me to go into the research, why marriages fail, the consequences and the effects of marriage. But I also said I cannot go for a research on the consequences, the causes and the effects of marriage without looking for the means of overcoming what marriage is all about. And as the mind of every philosopher, a philosopher is one who wonders. A philosopher is one who thinks and ponders on what happens in a community. And it's something that one is not even supposed to question. The main problem we have in any court case, if you go, is on the issue of divorce. I remember there was a time I was just like strolling around there in the Douala neighborhood, and we just happened to pass through a court hearing, and behold, it was on the causes of divorce. A young man and a young lady who just got married, they were living happily, and all of a sudden they are divorcing. Then when read one of the side comments from one of, it's like she has to do something, she has to work with the council. So like every day they declare for marriage, every day they declare for marriage. When they declare for marriage, and so they also show the money for the divorce. And so they also show the money for the divorce. So I think this topic is a very sensitive topic that we ought to handle. And once handling this topic, we have to go to the root, to the etymology of where all this is coming from, which is the family. And I beg you, the devil has struggled to lure the world towards him, and in order to get the world, he attacks the family, because it is from the family that a child is nurtured. It's from the family that we learn morals. It is from the family that we learn respect.
So, in all your defense and in all your investigation, what to you is marriage? Is it just two people coming together?
Actually, I'll be sharing the thought of Pope Francis in his encyclical letter Familiaris Consortium. He defines marriage as the totality which exists between spouses, giving themselves mutually and accepting each other physical and spiritual strength. Now, when we say the totality of somebody, you're giving yourself all to that person. That is why in the book of Genesis, we're made to understand that word. In Genesis chapter 2, verse 24, it presents marriage as a unity, that the two become one. The man and the woman, they all become one. So for me, it is not only about the love, that the celebration, the church, it's just normal. It's a formality that all of us we always follow. What entails in marriage is that two persons becoming one, the man and the woman becoming one. That union they share, that love, that communion the both of them share. If that love is not there, if that communion is not there, if that totality, that submission, that self-awareness is not there, then it's no longer marriage. The bridal shower, the traditional marriage, all of stuff, they're just formalities. They're just something each and everyone want to experience. And it's just a matter of day.
Okay, now let me ask something to Mr. Daniel. If he is saying that marriage, you need love, you need submission and all of this, are there marriages which fail even when there is the submission in the equation, there is love in the equation, there is everything in the equation, and yet that marriage still fails?
Yes, it do. There are a lot of marriages that fail with submission, because the submission comes, it must come both ways. If the submission is coming only from one side, and then you see that the other side is being abused, the other person abuses your submission, it has to fail. Mm-hmm. If there is love coming only from one side, and then you see that the other person is not giving you back, the marriage is bound to fail. Mm-hmm. So both people cannot love each other and cannot submit to each other, then we see a failure in marriage. If they both love each other and submit to each other, then there will be no failure in marriage.
Okay, so the failures are coming because the submission is absent and the love is absent.
Yeah.
It's not balanced.
It's not balanced. There are meaning that there's no balance.
No, but well, I've not seen this in real life, but I think that we have seen cases, even in movies, where maybe one person, especially the woman, submits herself entirely onto the man and is very respectful, is loving, but yet there are still cracks in that marriage. What would you say? Would you say that for a marriage to be workable, aside submission and love, there are other things that need to put that marriage on a balance?
Yes, I think so, because at times somebody might be going through, they call it, you are going through cracks. A partner might be going through cracks, meanwhile the other person is giving the all. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. His or her all.
Yes, yes.
And the other one has cracks.
Mm-hmm. Or some reservations.
Yes, some reservations.
Yes.
Or maybe let me use the cracks, because cracks means that you are you gave your all somewhere and you were heartbroken. Mm-hmm. Now you have seen this person who loves you, who gives you everything, but you still take the cracks from the other side, and yes, a past experience, and you bring them to the present relationship you are, or the wherever you are, mm-hmm. and you make this being very, very toxic to the new person, to the person who has given you all.
Oh wow! So previous hurts and previous experiences speaking, the voice of a previous relationship or previous experience
Yeah.
could be speaking in your present marriage
Yeah,
or your
sure.
because we are looking at marriages. Oh wow. Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that maybe in marriage counseling you
Yes, I
handle.
was talking with someone today. I just asked when you sent me the topic. I just said, okay. She was beside me. I said, let me source. I said, what could be the reason for failed relationship? She mentioned this. She said, okay, for her, the relationship she has broken up with like many relationships because of her past experience. So she carries this hurt to the next one, and she's building a fence. It's already like a defensive or yes,
Defensive
coming from a
mechanism.
defensive. Yes, like okay, I know that men will treat me like this, so let me be careful. So no matter what the other man does, she is seeing that. Let me first of all be very strong. Let me make sure that I stand fine before the thing one makes so I can't fall. So you see, it also has to do with past hurts. And let me quickly come also to what he was saying. If I look at it from the area of compatibility, because most marriages failed because when there is no compatibility, I'm not just talking about matching. I want to look at that balance between, like, let me bring interests. What are your interests as a partner and the other person's interests? The Bible he was quoting says the woman is a help to the man. So now I usually ask during singles and marriage conferences, you the man, you need a helpmate. First of all, what are you doing before you need somebody to help you? What is it that you're doing? What are you doing that you need help in? So if this man has not yet discovered himself, he's still sourcing around to know whether he's been called into this or his purpose is to do this, and he brings somebody who is totally off track to another thing, you see that this is going to be a problem. This is going to be a problem because now how do they do it? It is not compatible. It's no longer compatible, and it's going to be problematic. Okay, on the other hand, we say, what are you bringing to the table? What is she bringing to the table? That's the common balance I've been hearing around. What is she bringing to the table? And I ask myself, what is on the table? I'm asking the guy. You're looking for somebody who brings something to the table. What do you have on your table?
Actually.
If you have achu on your table, I should not bring salad. Does that combination go?
It doesn't.
I should bring something that will complement.
Maybe egusi
I think
pudding
a
and all of
nutritionist
that.
will tell you salad
Fried rice.
helps to digest the
Then
achu
achu-
after eating.
Achu is digestive in itself if I know a little bit about it. So I'm just, in essence, I don't know if that's the best example, but I'm saying what is on the table determines what should come to the table. So you, the man, if you know that on my table I have fufu and arrow, let us not be bringing salad and achu. Let us be bringing maybe fried rice, maybe some other thing that will not lead to running stomach or of us sleeping in the toilet.
Actually.
So in essence, what is it? You have been called to, you work more with people, or you are family oriented, and you have nothing to do with the other areas of life. You have zero tolerance for it. Why go for somebody who has been called to operate in that domain? So interest matters. Good example. We have men who are investment oriented. They look more into building, investing. And then we have women who are into maybe a lot of beauty and everything oriented. We equally have men who like that. So when you go for this, then every day you're like, how can you take 200,000 and buy human hair? You are having problems every day. There's another man who will go and buy the human hair for her for 500,000. One of my sisters is married to such a man. On the contrary, she's a type that let us build. He says, I beg building will come, man fit die. So you see, I'm talking about interest. I've just picked the one area of compatibility.
Okay, now it gets a little bit confusing in marriage because the way the marriage gospel is going or being paraded, Mr. Daniel, most especially, I want to ask you because men are known for their, critical mindset and all of that. It makes it appear as if you, the woman, should or would have to forfeit what you're doing to align with the man. For instance, if your husband, for it's a journalist, I always draw inspiration from from what I do. Maybe your wife should be maybe a corporate communicator or PR or do something. Is that when the marriage works? Or what if two people have two different
Interests.
interests, two different purposes, two different visions. Can they not come to, as long as I understand your vision? Now, this is to say, if you are, let's say, Catholic and the other person is Anglican, sometimes we've seen homes which are healthy, even with this divergent or diverse religion backgrounds or church backgrounds, and that home is still okay. So why is it that when it has to do with interest, I cannot have my interests, my partner can't have their interests, and together there is a reason with me, and we are fostering growth as long as we are striving in our various interests? Is it detrimental somewhere?
I think I don't want to be a traditional man, because most marriages today happens with, especially the question you just asked, if you want to be a traditional man. But it has nothing to do with us to have a happy home or a happy marriage. For example, I and my wife, we don't worship together. We in short, that is,
Yeah.
we have, she's somewhere else and I'm somewhere else.
And the house is still moving.
Yes, and then my house is still moving. I will shock you to know that I am a focal point where I worship. Likewise, she also is a focal point where she worships. And we come together. We have our dream, we have our goal. And our goal is to make a happy family. So I don't think that, because for example, I work in an office, she will not work with me in that same office. No, it doesn't go like that. So I think that what we need here is communication, understanding. If we understand ourselves at home,
But if there are two different interests, can that marriage work?
the interest now depends on what interest. For example, you cannot be a journalist and I am also a journalist. Or I want that, since I'm not a journalist, I'm a mechanic, you must also be a mechanic, or you should be a driver. No, it should not work that way. If I am a mechanic, you should be a doctor or a professor. I should be very happy and proud for that. That you are a professor, you are attending conferences and so on. That's where we have some traditional men.
Okay, now
who
when they
think-
say marriage cannot work, because there are different levels of interests. Interest could be in terms of what you do to survive, in terms of profession, in terms of maybe finance and all of that. When they say two different interests could be the springboard through which divorce
Problem
can
comes.
strive.
Okay.
What,
Okay.
what are we looking at?
I'm looking at interest when it comes to growth, especially when it comes to growth, and even the issue of religion and multiculturalism. Religious interest, multicultural interest is a huge problem to some people. Why? Because they make a big deal out of it. And like he said, if they're not too, if they know take shit people, and if take shit, you must go with me. That is where the problem comes. Because you think that your interest supersedes and it must be the way you have seen it. No. Okay. Interest. He is development oriented and thinks that there is no need even to do your hair for 5,000. That's too much. All should go for cement. That 5,000 is a bag of cement. It will be problematic. And then you work in an office where you need to look good, like you're a journalist now. And then now you get to somebody who thinks that 5,000 is too much to do your hair in a month. Don't you think people have clash of interest here?
Big clash.
No, it's going to be problematic. There, it's going to now at some point, even if it's development oriented and it's that extremist, there'll be a problem. But if he can be flexible a bit, like taking shit at times, to him it will be shit.
Okay.
For you to spend 10,000 to your hair, and then you two understand that okay, I could have loved to put is it bone straight?
Okay,
for
now
200, you break it down to somehow for you people to have a kind of meeting point. It's not going to be a problem.
I was going to ask a question even about this interest. We are still on the topic why marriages fail, and a few minutes ago, several minutes ago, we had Mr. Daniel who said marriage. I think that's the most beautiful definition that I've heard over time. Beside one memes that I stumbled on where they said marriage is it wasn't even a memes, it's a quote. Marriage is a union between two shit takers, and that was that's been the most the shortest definition and the most apt definition. Beside that, I think the second best will be Mr. Daniels, which is marriage is a union between two stupid persons coming together. Now, if you are talking about interests, let's look at a man Still on the stupid person. I don't know if this is going to have you shoot yourself on the leg this time, but let's see. If you say it's a union between two stupid person, and yes, submitting yourself entirely to one another, just like the philosopher Sopo Jean just said. What if the man asks you, okay, I don't want my woman to work. I want you to be a housewife, and maybe I'm going to provide anything, take care of my kids and all of that. And the woman too has an interest to be a journalist and future on the screen like myself. You know? And these are two opposite visions and interests. I just want to use that word interest. And yet again, marriage is supposed to be a union between two shit takers or two foolish people or stupid people. In that case, who is not being stupid, or who is being stupid partially, or who is not submitting entirely, or what's the way forward?
Okay, I think that before you come up with such, and that's why we talk about premarital counseling. Now, if you think that your wife should not work, she should only be a complete housewife, have you thought of the demise? What if you are not there tomorrow? What happens with her and your children? Our families today are not trusted because the moment you are not there, all the love they shower to your partner is no longer there. It disappears. So I think that from premarital counseling, we put these cards on the table and then we agree before we enter the union. Because during premarital counseling, we are not yet husband and wife. So we can, like we heard Madame Etunge said the first time that she was so happy when
two of these relationships did not actually.
Yes, when it could not work, because you see that this is a plane going to crash. Now I want you to be a housewife. For example, I will not accept any man to do that to my daughter. I will not, because at least God said that the woman is a helper. So a helper is not only to give birth to children. I disagree there. A helper is not only to give birth to children, cook food at home, and so on. No, the helper is to bring resources also. You also go out, you come in with something. Because even the Bible says in Proverbs that the virtuous woman, she does cutting, she clothes her children, in short, she makes things for the house. So I will not advise that during premarital counseling. I wouldn't advise that.
Well, please let me just come in. Most marriages fail because these things, these red flags, some of the pertinent red flags were ignored during courtship.
Before you get into the reasons in total why marriages fail, let me ask a question. When do we say a marriage has failed? Is it when the two people come together and they say, okay, these are the divorce papers, let's sign? Or is it when the two people have signed the divorce paper, or there are some people who are in that marriage but the marriage has failed? When do we actually say a marriage has failed? Are there situations where you are in that marriage and yet it has failed? Or you tag that marriage to have failed when you have signed the papers, or when you are the verge, or when you have made the decision?
There are very, very many scenarios where we see that marriage has failed. Do you know that there are people who are in their house, they have made 10 years, but they are there, they are separated.
Yeah.
They don't longer communicate as husband and wife. They are just there. You hear the woman say, I did for years and just because of my picking them. They will say that there is nothing going on. The husband is independent and the wife is independent. They are just there.
For me, I also think marriages fail, especially if it feels when that love is no longer there. Because that divorce paper is just to come and put it legally that we're no longer together.
No, but suppose there are people who actually divorce even when they are still in love.
They are still in love, but now the commitment is not just about being in love. It is true that love is the center and the summit for all marriage.
Beyond love.
Beyond love. Let's go beyond the love. Once you still love that man, and you feel as if things are not working, then that's no longer marriage. The marriage has failed already. That particular paper that comes in front of you as a divorce letter is just to put it legally that this man and this woman are no longer together. Once that love, once that commitment, once that particular telos is not being achieved, then the marriage has failed already.
Which other reasons would you actually advance for marriages failing before I get back to Mrs. Etonge who had the marriage failure?
The best reason so far for the failures of marriage, according to my research, is what at each time we see the vocation of each spouse. Now, as a man, as a woman, who are joined together in the bond of marriage, you're supposed to know your vocation as a man, and you're supposed to know your vocation as a woman. And at each time, the feminist philosopher propounds so much on what they call the vocation of a woman in her book. She says a woman, it is normally said the man is the head of the family, but the manager of the family is the woman. The woman is supposed to bring the family together. Is in charge of taking care of the man. Is in charge of taking care of the children and the household. You can be a very good mother, but a very bad wife. You can be a very good wife and a very bad mother. Once the woman is attacked in the family automatically fails.
Maybe you shed light into what you're trying to say, because I'm a little bit dumbfounded.
So now when I talk about the vocation of a woman, it is a woman knowing her place as a woman first. You must know your place as a woman first before knowing your place as a wife. And now what's your place as a woman? At the creation story, God made us to understand that when woman was created, when Adam saw woman, she saw woman and she said, "This is the bone of my bone and the flesh of my flesh." From that particular part of what Adam says, it shows that the woman is an auxiliary to the man. Now, what is an auxiliary? An auxiliary means a helper to the man. Once you're an auxiliary to the man, you're supposed to work engulfed with that man. In as much as marriage is concerned, now when it comes to marriage, you are no longer that auxiliary, but now you are in close contact with the man, such that you know the man, you know where the man is coming from, and not only knowing the man, knowing the man's family. If you read Becoming by Michelle Obama, with the way Michelle Obama explains the story of his husband, you would think Michelle Obama is the mother of the husband, because she has stayed with Obama, she has lived with him, she has studied Obama, and she knows Obama to her core. Most women now don't know their husbands, apart from the love we met this day, or you started spending your marriage. So
they
don't
know
really
the husbands that they see on the media.
The
husband is supposed to open the car door for me to get in.
Beautiful. You don't go detail to know who your husband is.
I don't know why I'm so. I don't know why I'm feeling attacked. I don't know why I'm feeling. Somebody once told me that you watch Telemondo a lot. That is your problem. You know, because
you know a lot.
A fictional kind of image. I think maybe breakfast in bed and all that.
Okay.
And when
the husband will envisage for the husband.
When have I received breakfast in bed? Let me search my brain. That is by the way. So you see, ideal self and real self coming to play. Carl Rogers says there's incongruence. That's where the problem is. When you put the ideal self
that
here,
incongruence, what does it mean?
This is it. This is the ideal self. I want breakfast in bed. I want a weekend at the beach. I want this and this. I want this. That's the ideal self. That's the ideal marriage. Yeah. Okay? And then the reality now is, this man doesn't even know that he should open the door of the car.
Beautiful.
He doesn't even know that he should tell me, I love you. But he's a good husband.
Okay, well, how about you watch the Telemundo film with the husband? Say, this is what I want you to be.
Okay, is that who he is? In his person? Is the real him? The reality, can he live up to that? Can he do it? But does it mean that he doesn't love you? So you start bringing real self and ideal self. Evidently, there's that incongruence. There's that imbalance.
That's a fight between appearance with society.
I know that a lot of young girls watching this program and they'll be like, I know from all of this discussion, you should already start telling yourself that her marriage is far-fetched.
Actually.
Because we watch a lot of Indian movies and all of that.
So know the man, know the woman. Oh, look at this woman. You cannot clean the house. The other time, my husband was talking to somebody. He said, if you want a career woman, you cannot have it all. Beautiful. A career woman will not spend 8 hours or 20 hours with the children at home, like our parents do. Oh, marriages in those days, our parents used to go to the farm and come and cook. Fine. They go to the farm, they can close at any time. Today, you are here. This is, what time is it? You are still at work. So when you go back, you cannot put in the way your mother used to put in if she was to come back from the farm. She will not be at the farm at this hour. So this is us just trying to copy and paste without contextualizing.
Hello and welcome to the program Matters.
Hello, good evening, madam.
Good evening and welcome to the program. Who are you and where are you watching us from?
My name is Litonga Boris, and I'm watching you from Boya.
Oh, how is Boya doing this evening?
Beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Okay, you have something to say? Go ahead.
Yes, my contribution firstly is we should understand that marriage today has been redefined. When we talk of marriage, we talk about it's not unlike before that a woman can stay in the house and then would be dying in that house, and then in the name of, oh, my children, I cannot go out because of my children, will take care of my children and the rest. Today, marriage has been redefined. My little contribution is we should understand that the generation before and the generation now is two different generations, and for that reason, anybody, to my own perspective, anybody wanting to get married, first of all, as a man, you need to define what you want in marriage. These are some of the things that people don't talk. People before getting married, they don't get to communicate. Only when they get into the marriage, before they start trying to adjust one or two things. Because to me, I believe that before getting married, in that process of courtship, you people need to use that time, exercise, get to talk. What do you want in this marriage? What is your expectation? And also, along the way, we come to realize that character is like pregnancy. You know, in the place of courtship where everything is supposed to be defined, everything is supposed to be exposed, I'm supposed to show you the real me. Instead, I'm trying to pretend. And when we get into the marriage, we get a lot of head knocks and stuff like that. We have to understand that marriage is, first of all, a beautiful thing that even God recognized. Is that wonderful thing that can happen when you get married to the right person. You come to realize that God made something wonderful. But today it has been used for titles. Some people get married because they want to get position. Some people get married because they want to get that respect from society. Marriage is not just there to fulfill the purpose or the scripture. And also we should understand that in marriage, when you come to discuss those detailed things, you come to realize that you outweigh or overcome all the challenges that may later on come. Like, for instance, do you know that even the Bible says that a wife,
I think your network is failing at this point. We are so sorry. We hope that we are going to be having the caller. Do you think sense or nonsense, Mr. Daniel?
Yeah, no, he did said everything well, because you have to first of all put your things on the table. You have to put everything on the table. And you know, some people also get married nowadays because all my friends are married. For example, maybe you're a young girl, you start saying that I was in Sika with this girl, this one, all of them are married, and then I'm still here. Then you rush to somewhere that you were not really ready.
Maybe some of us are even going to propose to a man.
Yes, there was no compatibility.
That means you are not patient enough to wait for God's time.
Do you know that I came across a girl who said everything is ready, it's just a man that is lacking. Everything is ready.
The hall is there, the MC is there.
Yes, everything is there, the dress is there, the food is there, it's just the man that is lacking. Okay, even if we took it for a joke or not,
but there is a message underneath.
Yes, so we need to understand that marriage is not all about having fun or sex. No, that's not all about marriage. At times we used to think that that's all about marriage. He said something that the times have changed.
Yeah.
The times have changed.
Very true.
Very, very true. And that's why formally...
And they don't use the time to know themselves during courtship.
Yes.
They don't.
Then you see some
I think we're going to be
hide
having,
ourselves.
courtesy to this caller, we are going to be having another program, Mrs. Etonge, to talk about courtship.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a time to eat roasted fish, come on. Or soya, or, explore the best places. Because some people, and with the advent of social media, we want to do, I pepper you, you pepper me, to prove a point. you see this person, this partner or this couple doing their thing, you also want to prove a point that you're living your best life. I think courtship is not all about that. I think there is more to it than meets the eye.
Maybe let me just divert a little bit. This also has to do with the question you asked from the beginning. If people who go through premarital counseling can equally have a failed marriage. There is this American counselor, a lady, who was social media is not a problem though. The way she did her courtship, everybody knew about it and everybody was looking up to it. Unfortunately, the man gave her a public breakup and she could not take it. So you see, she committed suicide. Many people will be asking too many questions. How will a counselor, a premarital counselor, commit suicide because of breakup? There's more to this. That's why I mentioned issues of mental health, like be able to take care of yourself. The caller mentioned that you should, as a man, and I'm saying this even, let me add to what he said, even as a woman, find yourself first. Counselor Isarin will always say this. Find yourself before you start finding a spouse. Before you start
Date
finding
yourself
a
too.
partner. Yes. Know yourself. Know
Ask
who you
yourself.
are, what you want, what you need. Your own purpose. What is it that you need? Who are you? Before you start searching for the person that you'll be able to
And honestly,
align.
there are people who get into marriage and they are lost.
Yes.
Maybe because they were not settled, they didn't find themselves.
And then when you come now and us the in-laws plus the social media in-laws us again, we just put a little pressure, you're gone.
Okay. Now, beside all of those things that this adult may have said, I know you are, though you're still a
The
baby,
researcher.
a baby adult.
Actually.
Beside this, let's say they are talking from the voice of experience, and I think we have another caller on the line. Hello and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. It's the same caller.
Okay, that's fine. Maybe you want to round up. Oh, we apologize for bad network. That's fine. Suppose, dear caller, if you're getting us, then maybe you can send a message, or maybe you try to call again. We apologize for the bad network reception. Hello, we have a call on the line. Welcome to the program.
It's our network again. It's the same caller.
Oh, and you are insisting that you need to offload this thing you have on your chest. Go ahead, please.
Definitely. The thing is, do you know that our network has also come?
That's fine. Go ahead. We can get you. Yes. Suppose beside these other reasons of experience, let's say the voice of experience, which other reasons?
I think if we go detailedly into the whole concept of why marriages fail, one of the most important reasons is influence from outside. As a woman, you don't know how to manage your house, or as a man, you don't know how to manage your house. You keep listening from outsiders, and you fail to understand that that household is being managed by you and the wife. Instead of listening to your wife whom you got married to, and I believe before getting married into the woman, or before getting the woman married, you felt something for the woman, and you guys have always been sharing. And instead of listening to her, you tend to listen from people from outside. So once that influence from outside is more than the communication you people have among yourself, marriage is bound to fail.
No, but I think that it's practically impossible for you not to have external influence. Daddy? Because at some point, no marriage is an island. You are definitely going to coexist with people. Maybe there are times that you're going to be stuck. At some point, you won't tell me that if I get married tomorrow, I won't call you. Besides doing this, we have a personal relationship. At some point, I'll call you and say, Mommy, maybe I'm about to break somebody's son's head. What do I do at this point?
I think maybe he will want to say listening to the wrong persons or taking the wrong advice from outside. Believe me, everybody needs a support system. And the other day, I was telling my trainee counselors that even the therapists need therapy. There are moments I need to listen to somebody tell me that Mabel is okay. Yes, there are moments I need that. And there are moments also as a couple you want to hear from some other person. You see, some churches have made it clear you have maybe godparents for couples. Although that is their own way of helping this.
Yes,
and then now you might want to move to a professional and make sure you're listening to the right person. So the problem comes now when they're listening
my question
to the right
is
person.
it even possible, before even getting to decipher which person is the right person or not. Is it possible for you to coexist in your marriage without listening from anybody?
No, it's not possible.
Excuse
It's not
me.
possible because you have people who come in with their own ideas. Some will be diverse ideas, some will come and give you good ideas. But now it all depends on you what to take.
Beautiful.
Because if you are that man who has principles, you should know what to take. You are the one who wants to build your home, right? Okay, imagine somebody will come, you know that, all right, you are in for to build something to live for your family, and a friend of yours will come and tell you that, why are you wasting your time? Tomorrow if you die, that woman will take those things and give to another man. You see? So it depends on what you want to take.
And when we are talking about external influence, do these movies also count? Or
Everything
Everything
counts.
counts.
Everything counts.
Everything
Let me
counts.
say this: there are things that you listen to knowing or without, or knowing or unknowingly.
maybe
Our
you could just
five
see how
senses
somebody is treating.
information gets into your mind, whether you like it or not. You're scrolling on Facebook, you just see something, and before you know it, a message has come. You want to process that information, you want to think about it, but now wow, and somebody said something. You are what you pay your attention to.
Exactly.
So you keep paying attention to a blogger who is not building marriages. You will tend to believe at some point that their marriage, this thing has come enough work. The more you pay attention to such a blogger, the more you pay attention to such movies, or even company, you keep a company that doesn't promote it, the no shit takers company. They made me call them like that. Yeah, you take the thing for man, I don't fit take them.
We have also had experiences where men will say maybe their marriages are not working because their wives are sit-at-home wives. They don't have anything doing. So in their spare time, since they have so much time and they're laxed, they go and sit
With neighbors.
with neighbors. They go and sit at this hairdressing salon. We know that's where all the gossips in the world, are resident. But do you think that also factors?
Yes, that's why I said it depends on who you are. If you have a dignity, you should know select what you take. I have this friend of mine who told me that the mother-in-law is with her, right? But the friends are telling her, and the
mother-in-law
mother
is bedridden.
Yes, she's bedridden. You dey take that kind of rubbish. I beg, why you dey take that kind of rubbish?
May
If
Amasa
na me,
put
no
you on
fit
salary.
ever. May Amasa put you on salary.
Until they demanded at least 300,000 a month.
Then she asked that, okay, if it was my mother, will I ask my husband to put me on salary? You now see that she selected what to take. That's somebody who has personality, she has dignity. So if at times our marriages are getting bad, we are the ones killing ourselves or shooting ourselves on the leg.
Let me add to this. Maybe many things happen around me and I might not seem to know it why. There are certain conversations, people who know me know that maybe does not take this. So no need bringing it up. They already know I have an obvious response to this particular issue. So when they are bringing issues around me, they know.
When they're bringing issues around me, they know, and I think you should know too. Hello and welcome back to the program.
Thank you very much.
That's fine.
Okay, this is my first question. We should understand that marriage is not for boy and girl. You get, and the fact that marriage is not for boy and girl, it brings us to the understanding of not age but maturity. We should understand also that the way you start your relationship matters more than how it's going to be or how it's going to look like in future. This is what a lot of young people have made mistake, and that's why their marriages are failing day and night. I'm married man, I'll tell you confidently that, do you know that I have a friend of mine that confided in me, and he was crying deeply. We men, when we have our way of having our own chat, different from what he's discussing with your wife. And the guy was to me that he has made a terrible mistake of his life, and I was trying to find out why so. I knew the reason why, because I advised him from the beginning, which he refused to listen, which was what? This guy, when he started to this girl, because he wanted to impress this girl by getting that money, he was charging the girl with a lot of gifts, the girl wants to ask money, he will just see 50,000 and the rest. So, in a man's life, there is big season, there is also hard times. This girl has come because he knows that this man is steadily flowing cash. Let us understand something. And this girl has put to bed a contact for this guy, and presently they are living together. And this guy is crying day and night, right? Because the girl firstly is coming from a rich home, and because the guy was trying to get this girl, the guy came in that position of I'm a rich man. Now there is no money, the girl is unable to manage. They are just in boyfriend girlfriend stage, and you see the challenges they're having. That's why in my first statement I made it very clear that it's about how you start your relationship. You know, a lot of people are not ready to succumb. You know, if we try to compare our mother's time and our time, you'd see that totally and completely marriage has been redefined. And that is why you cannot get married because you have money. And that's how it's very clear. You can put me anywhere. Relationship or marriage is not I love you. There is a time you look your partner, you hate your partner. There is a time you ask yourself if this choice you made was the right person. What are the things that are keeping in marriage? It's when you get married to your friend. Your friend. It means that your wife has to be your best friend. So you come to realize that in this position, when your wife is your best friend, even when that love is not there, you people can pull it out. You people can still move through. Because there is a time when the energy, it seems like the energy is being separated. Imagine your wife is giving you a headache, perhaps for one or two personal reasons, which is very normal in all relationships, and you have stress at all. So men don't know how to manage pressure. So men, before you know it, a lot of things start falling down.
All right. Wow. Thank you. This was quite fabulous, I tell you. Thank you. And I think that, I mean, you have set the temperature for us to react on. There could be so many questions that, you know, could be derived from this particular conversation or from this particular point. We are appealing on you to follow through with the program so that, I mean, in case you find the need to jump in to give your suggestion again, then you can do that. Let us just react on what you've said.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Wow, that was quite insightful. So, Paul, I think this goes, you know, with some of the points that you were picking there and there. Besides these others, maybe you tell us some of the other reasons why marriage fails.
If we now look critically, another reasons why marriage fails is the aspect of fidelity. Fidelity in the sense that how am I faithful to my husband? And as a wife, how you feel? And as
but
a
they are
husband,
unfaithful marriages.
No, they are unfaithful.
You hear some men who say, some people or society would tag all men to be dogs. Find your own dog and start pouring anointing oil every day. So people already have that background that men must cheat.
Actually.
So I have heard women say that even if my man is a chronic infidel, I don't think that is going to get into me much. I think we are living in a society where the African woman is robust towards the fact that whether or not my man is cheating, I'm going to stay into that marriage.
The marriage has been redefined, like the last caller said.
Yeah.
Is that what ladies of today think?
Now, but you as a counselor, are you going to advise a lady to quit her marriage because a man cheated?
First of all, as a counselor, I will not advise. At no point in counseling do I advise. We're going to.
But if you were to advise,
Yeah.
if you were to decide,
I've not done that before, so it's difficult for me, maybe.
Yeah.
Because
I
I'm
knew that you're
many
going to
things.
play. And you're going to play the
Many
I think
things
when
will
it
really-
comes to a situation like this, it is what Aristotle in his Nicomachean Ethics says: affective maturity.
which mother out there, which mother is going to tell the daughter to not stick in the marriage because the
I've seen
husband
it.
cheated?
I've seen it.
Oh wow.
Just beside me.
Oh wow. That leave that marriage because a man cheated.
And it was even a whole trouble. The whole quarter came out. And the
But
mother
I don't
was the one-
believe when it comes to this aspect of fidelity, because it starts with a yes say. For me, if a woman or if a man, if an outsider reports to a woman that your husband is cheating on you, I think the best answer that woman should give to that woman is it your business? It is my husband. And when that husband comes to the house, make your husband to know that you're better than that woman whom he's cheating on. Because I believe if you have a husband who is cheating on you, and you know very well that that husband is cheating on you, the way the book of Proverbs always tells us that a wise woman builds up the house, and nobody is perfect. If that woman welcomes her husband, like just an example, you see your husband's let me say phone call, let's say I better have, then you pick and you discover that somebody cheats, your husband is cheating on you with this particular lady.
Yeah.
A wise man, instead of reacting, if I'm a woman, instead of reacting, what I'll do is I'll wake up my husband, give him food to eat. Then I'll not react because normally he's thinking the wife will react. Like seriously, the wife will like, oh, it's over, it's over. But if you just keep quiet and behave as if
How much
nothing
you
is
say
happening.
they sell mocap again that
That is
500 francs.
That
You
is
see,
But I think it is the best decision
that
for
is-
every woman to
that
do.
is- that
You
is
pretend as
where-
if nothing has happened.
That is where
How much
we
is one
see-
poison sold again?
500 francs.
Yeah,
I'm
that
just
is
saying you do that.
That is where the no nonsense attitude come in. You hear a woman saying, I am a woman who does not take nonsense.
And it cannot be like that.
Especially from the feminist point of view.
Yes. And there are some men who also say, I cannot take nonsense. Because it's not only men that cheat.
When marriage is for shit takers.
Okay? Yeah, so well, now I think if we are talking about problems or factors that really causes divorces, we see communication, we see infidelity, yes. Then we also see financial problems.
What they say, economic crisis.
Yes, economic crisis. When economic crisis hits the marriage like that, there are some people who will not take it. Because it's not only about the woman, there are some women who will even struggle to see how they can mend things, but because of the way the man started tailoring this thing, he will not like to put his pride down for the woman to go out there and look for resources. You realize that it starts bringing tension in the family. And then we also have family. You know, family as in family also play a very great role here in marriage or in divorce, because at times there are some women who come, you have known me, or I have grown up, I'm 40 years old or I'm 35 years old, then I want to get married to you. I knew you 2 years back. You think that you know me more than my family. And you come now and you want to take control. You want to come and dictate to me how my family should run or how I should treat with my family that I have stayed with for the past 33 years. So we realize that in that case now, and if that man too is not careful, you realize that, or if the man will not listen to you, you realize that
Tension sets in.
tension sets in. And from that tension, you see argument from one step to another.
I've been wanting to ask this question. Maybe I'll begin with you, Support. I have been, and beyond reasonable doubt, maybe it's going to take a lot for me. I mean, I'm going to sound a little bit archaic. I am a singles orator, at least on behalf of all the single people like myself. I mean, as their president, I talk a lot on the singles. But I believe it's old school, and I've read books, listened to messages, followed mentors like Mrs. Mabel that we have here. But unarguably, I still believe that marriage is a thing of luck. I don't know.
Luck.
Yes. I think marriage is a thing of luck.
to a certain
Well, like
extent.
I said I'm old school. Do you, with all the research that you have done, do you think, because we have seen people who are not even, they don't have sufficient information. I'll put it to you.
Yeah.
I am more exposed than them. You and I are more exposed than them, and their marriages are working just fine. They did not go through premarital counseling, and their marriages are working just fine. They don't have any mentor. Instead, those people who have mentors, watch out, their marriages are even breaking. So now, in that innocence, what is keeping that marriage? In that innocence, in that virginity. Permit me use that word, but not as the word may imply, but in the fact that in that ignorance, what is keeping that marriage to be this successful?
For me, drawing inspiration from the caller.
And I'm not even blessed in church.
Yeah. Drawing inspiration from the caller, it is presenting your real self to the person. There was a day I asked my mom, how have you coped these 30 years with your husband? And she told me, so Paul, I think it was my luck that I met the right person. Because I believe my father presented himself, he presented his real self in front of my mother. And one of the main reasons why marriages always fail is that you don't present your real self. Like with the experience the caller was sharing, with the experience the caller was sharing, he said this lady is from a very wealthy family and the man is from a poor family. He presented himself as a rich man to impress the lady. He did not present his real self in front of the lady, and that was why there had to be a crutch. Once you present your real self to the person, you have mutual discussion with the person. I believe that marriage will work. And like the question Mrs. Mabe said, I believe this whole marriage issue, it has also to do, it has, in a certain extent, it has something to do with luck, meeting the right person.
At least I have
Because
somebody who
once
is
you're
that
patient and you wait for God's time, you receive the right person. One of the reasons why we easily rush into marriage.
Now, and why is it that some of the good girls, their marriages actually, like I said, please, I'm presenting my archaic self. Why is it that you see a girl who got married even undefiled, who is a church girl, and that marriage still failed?
Never.
Two church people, and you see somebody who has been maybe
I've seen a pastor
street
married today
walker.
and divorced the next day,
Yes.
which was supposed to be Thanksgiving Sunday.
I mean, and then you see a street walker,
Or
or maybe a sex hawker.
Yes, I believe when it comes
Getting married and that marriage successful. That is, I mean, you're fixing you're taking numerous positions. So at some point, no message, no lecture has been able to convince me. I still think that why some people are making their marriage or their marriages are rosy in the
others
past,
they love.
I still think that it's a thing of love.
First of all, you said in their ignorance. Let me beg to disagree with you. They're not ignorant. Do you define ignorance here because they don't have a mentor, because they're not being to
formal
premarital
education
counseling?
school?
No, they are not ignorant. Just knowing yourself means you are knowledgeable. So they are not ignorant, and so their marriages will work. And many other factors contribute to a successful or a bad marriage. Culture, family background, too many things. Some people are in that marriage just because they are the shit eaters, because of their family, where they come from. Divorce is a taboo, in my community in particular. So you will see the marriages working, or then you will not see divorce, or you will not see a marriage failed, because they learn to understand that the divorce first, not taboo. Not be make or bring that
But then,
taboo.
what do you think?
Many other factors.
Suppose
account
will
to that.
you side with me on this, that some marriages are actually a shock of love?
Actually, I do
Yeah, I
believe some
agree
marriage.
with you.
Yes, for
But I
me
think
to
the
a
therapists
certain
will always
extent.
have,
Yes.
to prove or a reason behind everything.
I
Daddy,
don't
do you
want to say something.
do you side with
Yes.
me?
I want to say that it's a hard one to answer because it's luck, yes, but you should present our results.
Beautiful.
That's a simple truth. I did not go through premarital counseling.
Based on what hello.
Yes, please. We are getting you.
Yes, based on the question you just asked now, we should understand that why some marriages fail, a lot of marriages fail, it's not ignorant, it's pride. You know, there's a lot of pride. I know my right. You know, a man cannot treat me like this, a woman cannot treat me like this. You offend your wife, you're unable to say I'm sorry because you think you are the man of the house. You know, it's because our parents, we don't go, when we get married, we don't go closer to our parents, especially those that have been successful in their marriages. We don't go closer to them or senior ones to understand some certain things. Do you know that there are times that our fathers, even in their ages, their age that they are become of, they kneel down in front of their wives when they offend their wives. But in this generation today that we have,
Those are our fathers.
kneel down for woman, who be woman, you know, all those kind of things. It's so. Those are some of the factors that are breaking the marriage. And
Okay, so now back to the question. Do you think some marriages work because of a stroke of luck?
I don't believe in luck. I believe in hard work.
Okay. Okay, wow.
Neither do I, because when you believe in luck, it's going to make you lazy and feel that mine is not working because I'm not lucky enough. I got married, or I had the first relationship, it failed. I got this one, I've done everything. Please, there's still work that you can do and make it work. And perhaps consider meeting experienced people, the right people, get the right support.
Okay, in the case where your first relationship broke, the second one then appeared to work, but you know deep down that you've not done any change, any control.
You could be in someone who never valued you.
Okay.
many factors
Yes,
account
you
to
could
having a
be with
relationship.
someone who never valued you, whom no matter how much you put in,
He doesn't
he or
validate
she
it.
did not validate it.
And I believe all these things centers around reality, presenting your real self,
Your
to that
real
person,
self,
and
yes.
be patient enough. Because for me, I don't know. It was only in Romeo and Juliet that I read that I saw that Juliet told Romeo, "I'm not accepting you immediately because I'm too cheap, but it's because I love you." But I think for every marriage to take place, the two persons should have at least known themselves for at least 2 years before getting into marriage.
Seriously?
Yes,
I,
because
story for
I, I,
another
don't,
day.
I don't,
yeah,
I don't
most
believe
people,
so.
most people will counteract the point, but at least you should be able to know this person. You should be able to know what this person is capable of doing and what this person is not capable of doing.
I think-
and you should also struggle to be
I
to
think-
add a positive impact to that person's
but I
life.
think just adding, we have seen cases where people dated
10
knew
years.
themselves for 10 years and they
still having
divorced.
failed marriage.
Now imagine that you knew yourself for that long and you still divorced, and you're saying that 2 years.
Should I tell you something?
I think
Let me tell you something that will shock you,
10
right?
years of lies.
I know somebody who
Yes,
I know
lies.
somebody who dated a girl for 5 years and they never got married, and saw this girl in 2 weeks, 6 months. He proposed to that girl for marriage.
That means that 6 years
And-
might be 6 years of lies.
And you see, the 5 years that they stayed together was a 5 years of torture. You understand? The man was there struggling to mend things, to amend, and the moment this lady left, you realize that the man found his soulmate. You see now? So at times we should present our real selves. When you present your real self to your person, bring the cards down to the table. Tell the person, okay, this is me. You see, at times some of us men also lie a lot because we are the men who are the ones who go to the woman. Present yourself, okay, you see me like this, I am with first school, oh, I am not educated. I am from this background, I am from this. If that lady is accepting you, the lady knows the platform of where she is accepting you, and you will know how to move. These are my dream, these are my vision. Okay, now the lady knows that, okay, I'm taking this woman, this guy, he is not a rich man, and so on and so forth. You see, at times I used to tell people that you hear people who have failed outside there, or who are failing, who are sinking. They will tell you that marriage is not a bed of roses. But I will differ from there. I will tell you that marriage, if you put your tones well, you will sleep on it comfortably. Because if you put your tones well, you will sleep on it comfortably.
Yeah, and I also think that a marriage is sweet depending on the ingredients that you use in cooking it. I think that too applies.
Yeah, that's what applies. I also believe if you read Bole Butake in his book The Late God, he makes us understand that even though he did not point it out as a reason why marriage failed, I think there's a problem.
Hello and welcome again on board.
Based on what you just said concerning ingredients, do you know that there's no particular formula where you can.
Why am I used as a lap rap today? Okay, that's fine. Please go ahead to buttress your point.
Based on what you people just said, I'll just give your viewers this for free. They should understand that, especially the women, don't be too carried out with a lot of expectation, because what kills a lot of women today that are getting into wrong marriages is because to them they want a man who is tall, must have beer gang, they want a man who must have car, all those kind of expectations. Those are some of the things that are causing women to enter into the wrong marriage. The woman is supposed to protect herself first before getting into marriage, because a man is approaching you. The man he has his motive, he has his stories. That's why the easiest way of some men that I discovered for some men to sleep with some girls around is to promise them marriage. Before you know it, bam, the girl will start the kind of house all the time, the rest. So this is the point there. This marriage thing, I'm so concerned about it particularly is because it's a beautiful thing, but when you see people who are failed in marriage, they'll make you hate marriage. They'll make you see marriage as an arrangement. Marriage is a beautiful thing that was constituted by God, even inside the Holy Book, which is being stated. Quran is being stated as something very wonderful. So we need to understand some certain things in terms of marriage. We should understand that marriage, the person approaching you, this person needs to be real and even the person is not real, you can do your own findings to be sure that the person is real. Women are so moved by what they see.
Yeah.
You get that is a first problem. A guy is coming to see you, the guy has bought you shawarma and the rest. Anytime the guy is calling you 9 times a day, in your mind you know that you have found love. That is not love. Those are illusions. You should understand that when you come in terms of place of marriage, it's more than that. That's why I made a statement that there is a time whereby you.
But why would you say that is not love? I mean, those are some of the factors to show that the person is, not self-centered, or the person cares. Or is this a voice of Telemundo talking?
I love
telenovelas.
I love your question. Let me tell you something that you will shock you. Do you know that when I use that statement that be very careful how you start your relationship is because do you know that if you start calling a woman 5 times a day and the woman eventually falls in love with you, and tomorrow this same woman enter into your house, so now we are talking about marriage. Do you know that if you don't call that woman, you are breaking the relationship? Because what you start, you need to finish. Those are some of the things. So that's why my brother just spoke of you presenting your research. Okay, it is not bad for you to call your wife, or your fiance or your girlfriend to call and check on her. But it should not be like those are some of the points you want to catch that woman, because you have found that as her weakness. Because that weakness, if you stop calling her, those are why. These are some of the reasons why you see marriages fail, because the way you start a marriage, you are unable to continue because there's no fuel. So you know, when you are coming to see your girlfriend, you're bringing black rapun or G4B rapun. Today the girlfriend now is in the house, you're unable to bring black rapun. These are some of the main reasons.
Now, but if you are saying all of these things, anyways, while you catch your breath, let me turn to the therapist on board and just follow suit with the conversation, so that at any point you may decide to jump in again. Does it mean we should not make an effort at all? Because now he's talking about black apple, and personally, come on, I love black apple. I don't know what is going on.
Who don't like black apple? That should be the question.
Okay, now he's saying that if you bring black apple at the point you don't bring it again, it's going to be so. Should it mean that you don't break a sweat when wooing the girl because you are afraid that you're not going to continue it?
I think what he means here should be the motive behind it, because motive is very well communicated. When you are doing that because that is you, it will be communicated. Doing that because you want to catch me, and then at some point you will easily leave it, and don't be shocked that the relationship, when you finally get the girl, will be failing.
Okay, so what if you're doing all of those things, they're calling 100 times a day because it's in my nature to
it means in marriage you will continue doing it.
Yeah, whatever you start, you should be able to finish it. It should be a telos. It should be
and if you're not able to continue, there will be a reason that the partner will definitely understand that this is because maybe you got another job that has a different description. But if it's everything being equal, you used to be like that, you cannot be like that, and everything is equal, it's going to bring problems. Before we go further, please let me bring this up. We're looking at why marriages fail. There are other reasons which are reasons beyond our control. As a mental health therapist, I will not go without saying this. Yes, we're looking at all along. We've been saying things that we can manipulate, things that we can control, things beyond our control that we can take charge of for it to change. There are other things that are beyond our control. And so if your marriage is failing, we're not blaming you that you didn't work enough, you didn't do this enough. Some marriages fail because they were beyond your control. For example, infertility. You get married and you cannot bear a child. Some people don't take it. Family doesn't want to take it. Your partner doesn't want to believe that it's been 10 years, it's been this, and it is not happening. Oh yeah, you will go. That is beyond your control. Some happen like that. Some marriages failed beyond reasons being beyond your control, not because you didn't do your part.
Let me just seize this opportunity to ask, because I was privileged to pass by a Catholic institution where they decided to give Catholics, before you bless your marriage in church, they do this beautiful thing of taking you through premarital counseling and all of that. So the catechist, who was the premarital counselor at the time, I think it runs within the period of not less than 1 month, said children are not a part of your marriage. What's the veracity of that?
Children are not a part.
I know it sounds complicated for those who are very shallow-minded. It could sound complicated, just at the mention of it.
Yes.
But just take a second and reflect.
Think about it. Yes, it's obvious because we are coming together. What are our motives? What are our interests? What is it that is on the table, and what am I bringing to the table? Somebody is
I
getting
think
married
Daddy
because
understands
of.
it perfectly.
Some people are getting married because they want children.
Daddy, are children part of your marriage?
No. Children are just a blessing. Blessings, additional blessings in our marriage. So if I get married and my wife cannot give birth, that should not bring us any problem. Does she make children? She does not make children. So that is what families should know. She does not make children. And at times we say that she should do. There are people who have gone extra miles, who have even used money, who have done everything. But at times I will send it back to some men who blame the women, and they themselves don't go for checkup.
To say something about this issue, it happens that I'm a fervent Catholic. If we go through the Catechism of the Catholic Church, we're going to understand that the main purpose for marriage is companionship. Children is a fruit from the marriage. It's a blessing from the marriage.
So how can a fruit not be a part of it?
Now we need to understand that man does not give children. Children comes from God. You can be very, very fertile, but once you have not been blessed with the fruit of the womb, come rain, come sun, you will not have it. So a man or a woman who focuses on...
So you can still be fertile and yet...
Yes.
Yes, because it is a gift from God.
Children are not coming.
Beautiful.
Really?
Yes.
Many doctors can
And there is
explain.
nothing that is spiritually controlling.
It could be, but it's beyond your control. That's the message.
Okay, now I'm trying to look at the case because from his perspective, could it be possible that you all are medically fit, and let's say there is no strong man in the village hitting any pot, and maybe God has not just decided to bless you? Could it be possible?
Yes.
I think it was with Hannah.
And I also think one of my lecturers would tell me, you can be a woman, maybe you don't have a child, and God, that they call that one necessary evil. If those who have studied philosophy, it is a necessary evil, because maybe when that child comes, it might derail you, or it might stop you from praising God the way God wants you to save him. So or maybe when that child comes, the attention you may have for that child might either lead you to hell. So in order for God to give you the best gift, he actually allows a necessary evil to happen. It is a necessary evil, and we have to think about it. Like, just take for example your marriage, you're very, very, very fertile, but God says that maybe if he gives you this child, that particular vocation, maybe you're the one to take that man towards a heaven, or maybe that attention you're supposed to give to this man, or maybe the greater good. Always the principle of the greater good or double effect. If we study philosophy, I think it happens for that particular purpose.
And about saying that children are not a part of marriage also could be, the children could still be there, but they should not be a cause for
divorce,
failed marriage.
Yes. It's only a gift.
Some children are causes for failed marriage. Why? Because parenting, they don't have that compatibility in their parenting style. He doesn't want to shout at the child. I've seen couples like that. No, you don't talk to my children like that. But the children might, you don't shout at my children. If you cannot advise him, sit quiet.
Yeah, especially.
And then he will hit the wife because the wife tried to discipline the child. Over and over, you see marriages separating. So if the priest is saying this, I think it is also in this light. Even if the children come, they shouldn't be the cause of tension in marriage.
Yeah, you see, mother-in-law will come and tell the daughter-in-law, I don't know my child got married to a man.
Yes.
All those things, I believe, and it is also a call for concern, because if you look critically, most of these cases are from the husband's family. Especially the mother-in-law, when she's turns on having the son, the grandson, especially the grandson. Yes, you see the way. Yeah, I don't know. Say my picking marrying a fellow man bringer for her. Mother-in-laws out there were telling you, children are a gift from God. You shouldn't persuade or you shouldn't hate your daughter-in-law because she's unable to give birth to a child or what. To it is always good to take that child. You take that child as, because I believe once like my mom always tell me, if you get married tomorrow, your wife automatically becomes my daughter, and the way I treat your wife should be the same way I should treat you or any of my daughter. The child that comes as a result of that marriage is a gift from that marriage. And there are times that when God does not give you that child, it is a necessary evil which you just have to accept it, and you keep praying for it. Maybe He's waiting for the right time to give you the child. It is always good to apply the virtue
Earlier,
of
God gives
patience.
unnecessary evil in because society will kill you. In fact, it's just complicated.
Very, very.
But while I use the word complicated, do you think marriage is complicated, Mr. Daniel?
We have decided to make it complicated. The marriage is not complicated. We decide to make it complicated. Marriage is politics. I will, like my wife usually say that marriage is politics. You play the politics, and you should know how to play the politics. When you know how to play the politics, then everything is fine. Because you know how to deal with your in-laws, you know how to deal with your friends, you know what to take and what not to take, and then you know how to deal with your husband or your spouse, and then you see that. That's why I earlier said here that so many people say that marriage is not a bed of roses, but if you lay your tongues well, then you will sleep well, comfortably, and even 10. Yes, you will sleep and 10. So marriage is not that complicated.
But is it complicated? If it's not that.
A bit because I will say a bit because it is you are living one stage to another. The stage of courtship to the stage of marriage. That is, you are coming to meet together to stay, and that's when you know that this woman snores at night or this man snores at night, and I don't like somebody who snores.
That's a reality stage.
That's a reality stage,
Okay,
which you cannot control.
Mabel, marriage is a transition, like what he's saying. Every transition comes with distress. I'm researching on transition, although not to marriage, to widowhood. Every form of transition, according to Schlossberg, who wrote a lot about transition to adulthood, because you're transiting from being either a single to a married lady or a married man. From there, you'll be transiting to having in-laws, to having maybe becoming a parent. And so every transition, even transiting to, I saw one time you were graduating. Before you enroll in that school, you took your time and apply, right?
Yeah.
You took huge money, pay school fees. That transition into getting to that school was it
The
easy?
defense was not easy.
Okay, it came with distress, but you applied for it.
Yeah.
So every transition comes with some level of distress, some level of discomfort, and so you need the necessary support system along. It must not be a therapist, it must not be me. It can just be a good person to accompany you through that transition. And even if it is your second marriage, I have a friend, she has divorced 2 times. Last week I was telling my husband she just recently got married that's her 3rd marriage. But it still has distress. We cannot say that she has all the experiences because she has seen, those are 3 different men from 3 different backgrounds with 3 different in-laws. So every marriage has its own transitional challenges. Every relationship, so moving into marriage, staying in marriage is a form of transition. It comes with distress.
And we also need to know that tough time never lasts, but only tough people do. I always recommend this song from Elizabeth Eke. Marriage na love and understanding. If you na love and understand on yourself, marriage go work fine. All in all, it is always loved and understanding. And no matter how tough it is, we need to understand that tough time never lasts. It is only tough people who do. If you want to think, if you want to keep like spending all your life on tough time, then you never grow. You never grow. That's why Aristotle has said it in his Nicomachean Ethics, affective maturity. Once affective maturity is there, then I think everything will go well. That's just it.
Well, guys, I would have wished to keep this program a little bit longer. I've seen lots of calls, lots of messages. There is no time to even start reading messages because, come on, and I see a number with 52 beeping and calling. Maybe I'll pick the call. Please don't threaten me. It's still my show and I decide to take whose call I decide to take. But guys, it really feels good to know that all of you are watching. I mean, it's a Monday morning and it feels quite elating to know that you are using your time judiciously. How do you use your time judiciously? By staying glued to the screens of High TV and making sure that you don't let any word slip. By taking your pens, your papers, in making sure that you are learning every word from our resource persons that comes here and from our experts. We bring amazing, mind-boggling, mind-tripping subjects that is going to amaze you and that is going to amuse you as well. We have had times to laugh, we have had times to learn, and that is the roller coaster journey. And of course, we have had times to regret. From all the beautiful things that has been said from my panelists, I think there is, a midway into the conversation where you felt like regretting. Maybe that part where you think you've let a lot of image or social media sensation get into your relationship or get into your marriage. It is a time for you to change your narrative, backtrack, take a step back, and maybe, let the odds or the tides fall to your favor. We are going to be dragging the curtains of today's program, but we are not going to be taking leave of you if we don't get the final words from our panelists. I have 1,000,001 questions to ask, but if Claudine permits me, but the program director says news is after matters, so who am I to say no? Let me begin with you, Mr. Daniel. What would you say for your conclusion phase in a few seconds as we uncover the subject why marriages fail?
I think what I would say is that it takes two to tango. So we should not be very, very intelligent when it comes to marriage. We should all behave like we should have the forgiving spirit and let go. Then our marriages will be successful.
Thank you. And to support Jean, what do you have to say? I mean, you've been the very tender voice on the set, but I think that you've caused a lot of impact too.
So actually, for my final words, I'll always draw inspiration from my very, very best author, Robert Kadnasara. In every situation, we should always give thanks to God. And whatsoever comes your way, it has been allowed by God. It is a means for you to prove how God loves you, and it is always a necessary evil. No matter the circumstances, no matter the difficulties and the situations we always find ourselves, God is still saying something. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And to the therapist, you always have to put all the beautiful fondant on the cake.
Thank you so much. Please, you watching us, listening to us right now, is your marriage failing? Is your relationship failing? You need the right support. Seek support. It is okay to seek support. It is very okay to ask for help, and make sure you ask for help from the right persons. Do not neglect this part. Seek for help. Seek for support from a counselor, from a priest, from an elderly successful or marital successful person, somebody that can keep your secret. Seek for the right support. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And of course, by seeking support, in case you are doing this, the only person who does and keep rolling their eyes in the air is are those people who do not know where to go to. And of course, the only place to go to is the Prime Counseling Service there at Long Street, where if your mental health is not in shape, we'll make sure that we rehabilitate it. And of course, if your relationship and your marriage is not, even that marriage that the divorce paper is there, but you've not signed yet, come. I think we are going to see what to do about it. And of course, you're going to meet the therapists, and they are going to see the kind of information to bring to that marriage. It is always 6 to 8 p.m. every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday here on Matters, where we get to bring you the best and the best. From me to you, thanking you for watching, and of course, stay glued to other programs that are going to be following suit. Thank you for all your participations and for your time. Until we meet you tomorrow, stay in the company of good health and all the programs. I have been Mabel Camden. Good night.